Welcome back, guys. So today's LeetCode daily challenge is 1239th question of LeetCode, that is maximum length of concatenated string with unique characters. So before moving on to the question, please subscribe to our channel. We solve LeetCode daily challenges, GFG problem of the days, and all the contests of CodeChef, Codeforces, and LeetCode. Okay, so today's question is rated medium. Okay, so let's see what the question says. We are given an array of string ARR. A string S is formed by the concatenation of a subsequence of ARR that has unique characters. Okay, so we have to return the maximum possible length of S, and a subsequence is an array that can be derived from another array by deleting some or no elements without changing the order of the remaining elements. Okay, uh, now you have to mark this, that it must have, the subsequence must have unique characters. Okay, so like here, this ARR, we will simply do the recursive traversal and do the pick and non-pick process. But the picking conditions are that if I do like here, the all valid concatenations are these. Okay, why only this? Why not UN and UE? Because it says that we can take only unique characters. So UN UE will have U twice, so it's not unique. Okay, so otherwise we could have taken the whole array as a subsequence, UN IQ UE, but it cannot be taken, and the size would have been 6. That would have been the largest, but it cannot be taken because you will be repeated twice. So basically what we do is we recursively traverse and find all the possible subsequence that are valid, in the sense that are distinct and are a valid answer. Okay, so and at last what we do is we mark a longest subsequence. We keep on picking and non-picking and mark the longest subsequence which is valid as well as valid and is a possible answer. Okay, uh, that is the longest one. So finally we get this and this as length 4, and we return the maximum length as 4, and that is our answer. Okay, so similarly this is another example. We could have taken the whole thing, but R will be repeated twice, A will be repeated twice, so we cannot. Okay, so the maximum possible longest valid concatenations are CHAERS and ACTERS, that have distinct characters and are longest. So 6 characters is the longest answer, so we return it. Okay, so similarly here the only string in array has all 26 characters. Okay, so I think this is clear. Okay, so let's move on to the solution, and I'll explain it. Okay, so first what we do is we take a vector taken which keeps a tracks of characters taken or not taken. Okay, then we make a recursive call, and the answer which we get from the recursive call, that is the longest string, we will return it to the uh, return it as an answer. Okay, so let's go to the recursive function. Okay, here is the recursive function. The best condition is that the index is double equals to the array size, then we return the length. Okay, here what we pass is the index as 0, the array, the taken vector, and the length. Okay, initially the length is 0, we have not taken anything. As we keep on picking and not picking, we increase the length. Okay, so if, let's see what the conditions are. So the best condition is when the index is index double equals to the array size, then we return the length. Okay, so let's see here. We take a current string that points to the current string in the array vector. Okay, so we check if it is valid or not. So to check if it is valid or not, we have a valid function. Okay, if it is not valid, how we can check if it is valid or not? That it must be unique and it must be a possible answer. Okay, so if it is not unique, then what we do is, if it is not valid or unique, then we skip the current string and move on to the next index, move on to the next string. Okay, or else the option 2 is pick or not pick. Okay, so two options we have to pick or not pick. So we pick, first of all we pick and mark the character in the selected as taken. Okay, so when we pick, then we mark that these characters are taken or not. Okay, yes, hence we can further, when we further when we check or concatenate, then we can find that if that character, if the character in the new string, new subsequence is already present in the previous string or not. Okay, so that is it. And then we increase the length size to current size, and then we do the pick traversal. Okay, and for pick we again do the recursion. Okay, we pick and we again check for it is valid or not, or else we will not pick. Okay, so after picking, what we do is backtrack. While backtracking, we mark all the characters is not taken, because we are backtracking. So we know that we didn't find our answer, or we found one of the possible answer. So while backtracking, what we do is we go on removing the characters those are marked, because we will have a new path, new possible unique path that will have that may have our further optimal answer. Okay, so this is for backtracking. And then what we do is we not pick. Okay, and then at last what we do is we find the maximum of pick and not pick. Okay, the longest path. Our main goal is to find, like here, if uv was taken in non-pick, and u and iq was taken in pick. Okay, so it will return the maximum one, that is u and iq's length 4. Okay, not the ue's length, that is 2. So that is it. And in the valid function, what we do is in the valid function, here is where we check valid. If it is not valid, then we move on to the next string, we do not take. If it is valid, then only we take the current string. Okay, so we check here if the current string is valid or not. So here we have declared a so we have a function of boolean return type, that is to check repeated characters using repeated check vector. We declare a repeated check vector that is of size 26, because we have 26 characters. So what we do is we mark the ASCII values of those characters, and we check if it is repeated or not. Okay, that's why we do this current of I. That means it will let's say it points to u. Okay, so it will subtract the u's ASCII value from a, and it will that will be in the range 0 to 26. Okay, so we can mark it as if it is repeated or not. Okay, if it has repeated characters, when the instance we get a repeated character, we return false, because we do not need any repeated characters in our answer or subsequent the valid concatenations. Okay, so else what we do is else we mark all the characters as 1. Okay, so at last, to check the characters have been taken or not, if already selected, then we cannot take the current string, and we return false. If no repeated characters are found, then and not selected, then we return it true. Okay, if we return it true, then that means it is a valid it is valid to concatenate that string. Then we move on further record sorry then we move on to the else part, if it is valid. If it is not valid, then we move on to the next string. Okay, I guess it is clear. So let's